everybody, welcome to my wood shop. This is Tony, and today I have this lovely set of blanks. They're all once-turn bowls that came in from Stuart Moore over at STM Woodworking. He turned a bunch of stuff, single turned it, and he just sent me a big box of stuff that I don't normally get to turn around here. I got some beautiful cedar. He once turned this back in July of 24. It's almost a year ago. A couple little things there. Beautiful piece of spalted, looks like oak. Look at that spalting in there, isn't that beautiful? Let's see what we could do with something like that. It should be just gorgeous when we get to that. A lot of little cedar pieces, and then the piece de resistance for me is pecan. I never get to turn pecan. So this has got, obviously got some cracks and stuff in it. Big, heavy, thick, and it's all dried out and ready for me to go. I think I'm gonna start with this one, and I'm hoping that I can keep some of that bark on there and that those cracks are just surface. If not, look it up and film it. Look at that beautiful feather in there. Nice piece of crotch. And it looks like they've all been covered in just PVA, you know, regular old Elmer school glue. Look at this one, another nice big piece there. So that was really generous to Stuart. You guys check out his channel, it's really cool. I'll put a link up there on the top. And I'll pick one of these out, get it mounted up on the lathe. We'll talk about, in this particular video, I'm gonna go over how to get a nice center on these, how to remount them with a jam chuck, how to move forward with putting a good solid tenon on it, flipping it around, hollowing it out, and finishing it. So looking forward to it. We got a lot of cool pieces here to work with. All right, stay tuned. Okay, for doing this, what I like to do is start out with my larger chuck, and I don't want to have to take the chuck off again for this particular bowl. So we'll go ahead and start out with this chuck, and we'll make our tenon to fit it. This is my Hurricane HTC 125, 5-inch chuck, or 125 millimeters. And then I have a jam chuck. This is an old piece of redwood fence post. I put a hole in the middle of these so I can actually put finials and other things in, as well as I have this nice surface to make contact, and it ends up not marring the middle. So all we have to do is mount the jam chuck in here, and the other end we're just going to use our standard 3-bearing live center. I have a kind of a knockoff version of that, close to the one-way. Oops, see? Oh, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? You can't see that. Let me pull this out of the way so you guys can see it a little better. Hold on here. Now you can see it. So this here we'll put on the end to hold it in place. I'll use a little piece of non-slip cloth, and let's see if you got a good picture. I can never tell if you got a good picture. I'm just cranking it back to 1 inch so I have plenty of play here. So all we have to do, Stuart was nice enough to leave us, I don't even need to use the non-slip cloth right now, but we just use the existing center that came with it, and I'm going to get out one of my little measuring jigs here. I've got a 60 millimeter tenon jig here that'll tell me that's the smallest size for my big tenon. So it looks like Stuart is using the same size, so I can go almost down to that to get it nice and round. But first we'll do is we'll turn the lathe all the way down to 0. Slowly spin it up just to see. Boy, that dried pretty concentric. Surprise, this will not be a difficult one. I'll have to pull something else down to give you the full view. My poor little lathe is all squeaky right now. I've been away from the shop too long. All right, so that's it. That's all we have to do to get that going. So we'll tighten up this tenon, put a nice dovetail on it. I can see where his grooves were in there, but we'll dovetail that for our jaws, and then we'll get the outside round, see if we can get past a few of these cracks. The bark seems like it's gonna stay on, and we'll take it from there and see what we get. All right, we got it all mounted up here. See if we can get a little extra light on the subject. See if that turns out okay. Got my tool rest ready to go here. And I'm gonna start out with the smaller bowl gouge with my 1/2-inch crown on this one, I think. I talked to Stuart, who gave me the wood, and he said that he thinks those cracks might go a little deeper than I was thinking. But if they are, what we'll do is we'll give it a quick pause and maybe do a little filling. We'll have a little fun there. So I'm going to start out right around 1,000 RPM here. And again, he said this is, they call it Pecan because it's very hard. So all I'm doing is trying to get it round on the outside first. See how that's cutting. Feels pretty good. Oh, isn't that pretty? Look at that. That crotch in there. You can feel some ridges on there and stuff. I've got a pretty good hold on it though. So let's come up around the edge here if we can. Boy, it's moving around a little bit, but oh, look how pretty that is. All right, we'll definitely blend this in. I just wanted to see what's coming as we get up to these cracks. Still not fully round. You can see where the shape is, where we've lost the shape as it changed a little thicker there. We haven't even touched on this end here. So maybe I'll move over here, slightly larger gouge. Let's see if we can come around the edge a little on that. I think we're still hitting a little air right there. Yep, gonna have to come a little bit tighter. And those cracks are going to come all the way into the depth there. But I think once we come around the top here, will give us a good idea of exactly what we're going to be dealing with. Since it's so dry, it is really coming off nice. There we go. We're into our round here. Oh, I do like that wood. Those cracks are a little disappointing, but let's see if we can make something pretty out of them anyway. Let's make sure we're clear because it is an oval. I'm just going to cut up to the top of that. I do like the way the pecan cuts, though. It's pretty. Felt real nice. There's some bug goo in here. We can blow that out with the compressor. Oh, I almost kind of like that step look too, up to the rim. That was an unintentional little bonus, huh? I don't think I'll keep it though. Although that does give a very nice look. I think I am going to keep it. Okay, but what we do have, let's see if you can get around here. I'm going to actually move the camera so you guys can get a better view of what I'm looking at here, so we can kind of discuss the best way to deal with this piece of wood. Okay. I think I got you guys up here at a good angle now where you can see what's going on. I'll move this light a little bit. All right. So we've got these longer cracks. They're going pretty far in. They don't go into the bowl itself, but it doesn't look like we could turn by them all the way past them either. Can feel a little, yeah, they don't go all the way through. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and clean out these cracks. I will not bore you with all of the process there. There's plenty of videos of me doing that. But I'm going to go ahead and get all this bug goo out. And we'll go ahead and fill these cracks with CA. And I think in this case, for contrast, I might throw some white, like an opalescent glitter in this. Well, I don't know. I think we want a darker contrast than that, don't you? What do you think? I think we need more contrast. So let me go through and look at that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an X-Acto knife or a craft knife, and I'm just going to trim up all these edges so they're nice and tight. And then I'm going to go ahead and find some something interesting to put in those cracks. We've got them all the way up to here, but they don't proceed on the other side where this beautiful feather is, which will make the inside of the bowl beautiful. Let's see real quick if we hit this with compressed air. Well, there, that one came out. A little bug track here. So we have to decide if we want to keep the bug tracks. That one's pretty tough. Yeah, I think have to decide if we're going to fill those or if we're going to keep the bug tracks. But we'll get to that in a minute here. But I'm going to go ahead and get to filling these real quick, and we'll bring you back when we're ready to turn it. You can tell me if I made a good call or not. Right after a little further inspection of these bug cracks, I don't think they're going to look as nice filled as or raw. So I'm going to go ahead and turn past them real quick, just to give us an idea of how that looks. The wood so far cuts beautifully, and that's right off the tool. Looks like I've already polished it a little bit. Flatten off. A lot of bug tracks will be to that part of the bowl. It's going to be an interesting ride. Further go that direction. So let's blend that corner real quick here. Take a little from the other side as well. Okay, I do like the way the wood looks. I do like this extra shape. Round bottom, straight sides a little. But that up there, that's a lot to deal with. That is a lot to deal with. So then if we come in tight and cut out the loose grain here with a craft knife, so we have a nice clean, oops, I lost my craft knife edge here. What happened there? That's scary. Nothing worse than having your, well, that's just no good at all. Let's get another craft knife. Broke one. That's what you get when you spend a few dollars at Joann's instead of doing it for real, huh? Anyway, come in there, let's cut out this loose grain. At least get it down far enough that when we put a filling over the top of it, it'll look okay. There's a couple little pieces there. Got a few pieces stuck in here, but the way this particular crack goes, trying to make that decorative is going to be a challenge. Is going to be a challenge. What are we thinking here? This is such a nice piece, and Stuart went way out of his way to mail this all the way across Georgia. Man, I sure hate to see it not get all the way there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fill it with the contrasting glitter. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go with my black pop sparkly goodness here. Let's just see how if we get some in those cracks here. Basically, I just fill the whole crack with it and then flood it with CA. It seems to work for me. Give it a little sparkly, kind of a disco look. I don't know if we were thinking about disco when we sat down to do this, but I can go throw an ABBA album on or something. Maybe a little Olivia Newton-John. Yeah, everyone likes Olivia Newton-John. So yeah, so we get that in the cracks that way. That might be interesting. Don't think I set out to do disco today, but I think that we'd have some pretty cool contrast depending on what color this finishes out once we just put some wax on that. We can really fill those cracks in well. And then we'll flood those with some CA. What do you think? Kind of cool? Get a little sparkle in there. You can kind of see the light move around on it. I don't know. I like that. I'm going to give that a shot. Let me grab a little CA and we'll start doing some flooding here and we'll see how these fill for us. If we could keep it just a little below the surface, then the CA on top should end up with a kind of cool look. Let's see what happens. Be right back. All right, I got a fresh bottle of Starbond medium CA here. I'm just going to go across the top, let it kind of soak in to the glitter here and deep into the crack. And we'll see how that ends up looking. I think usually this just does a nice job of soaking in between the fibers and the glitter and into the crack. It gives us a nice little kind of a unique look. I've done this on a few things. Usually it's going to be ring dishes or smaller pieces where a little sparkle or glitter might pop and make it look cool. I haven't tried it on something quite this big before. But hey, no pain, no gain, right? Got to keep trying, learning, stretching, seeing if there's some new way. If it works, I mean, I look like a genius. If it doesn't work, well, I probably won't look like a genius. I'll look like a guy who just put glitter and super glue in a bunch of holes in his bowl. Which, who knows? Could start a trend, right? This could be the next big thing. Yeah, that's the ticket. The next big thing. Let's see, we have some of these little things here we can fill in. Yeah, you can see it if you look close. You can see it soaking into the hole there. Soaking there. The glitter is actually moving around a little bit as it dries, which is nice. So we'll keep it a little bit proud. And I think, from past experience, this should end up looking kind of cool once it's polished up. What we'll hope for is just a nice filling in there, and then this will shine up really pretty as we polish it. But boy, it's soaking up a lot of the glue. It's got to be proud before we can get back to turning. I won't start hitting it with accelerator until the last few coats. So I really want it to get in there. There's a spot right here. Sometimes when the glitter goes deep into a crack, it kind of floods down there, and then you fill the top with it, you'll see just the glitter from inside, which can look really cool. Again, it's just a matter of preference. Wouldn't be for everybody. Generally, if I show up with a bowl full of glitter instead of using turquoise or opal dust or something, I'm not going to get as many interested parties. But I always find somebody who likes to see a little shine in something. And I've seen a lot of ways, just filling the cracks with sawdust and regular wood glue and stuff like that. It's cool and easy fix a lot of times. But sometimes, to me, again, this is just my opinion, it ends up looking like a repair rather than like an embellishment that someone spent a little time on. And I think that if you can have a major defect like this, which seems like a lot of the wood I've been turning lately has got some sort of big defect, I think having something that really kind of brings attention to it rather than tries to hide it is a good strategy. And again, I could be entirely wrong, and it's definitely a matter of preference. So I don't know if you could be wrong with a matter of preference, can you? Let's think about that for a minute. If it's just a matter of preference, can you be wrong? You could have poor taste, I guess. I guess your preference could just be, wow, that's bad taste. Now that I think about it. But I'm thinking we'll be just fine. So let's let this set up a little bit, and I'll come back around and we'll hit it with the gouge and see what it does. Okay, let's see if we did a good job here. Oops, came off my bevel there. Still smell the glue, so it might be a little wet still. But there, get a nice hard one there. Those look pretty good. Let's get a closer inspection, see if we're going to need to fill anything here. Yep, there's a little more here that's going to need to be filled. I'm going to hit it with some accelerator first. Ooh, I got glue on my arm. I do not like super glue on my arm. Even when it's Star Bond, you still don't want it on your arm. Okay, these other ones filled pretty nicely. There's a little hole in this one still. Let's go ahead and see if that'll get an air bubble through that one, you can tell. That one's nice and flush. This one's nice and flush. That's perfect over there. Just come across the top of this one again. Pretty deep holes, so we really gotta get them all the way filled. And we gotta let the air out. Get a deep hole, trap an air bubble down there. Nobody wants that. Just put a little more of the magic in there. I'll be sanding that off my hands later. Just want to make sure that there's no rough surfaces there. Let's see, we got a pretty good fill there, but I'm still going to go over the top again one more time, and then we'll hit it with the gouge. And we should be ready to move on to the next phase here. This may or may not even make the video now that I'm thinking about it. This might just be boring, just an old man talking to himself in the shop. Sometimes can be entertaining, but this might not be one of those times. I'm going to go ahead and just throw some of those bug runs too. See if we can solidify them up a little bit so they don't come out when we're starting to sand. This might be overkill, but this is loose stuff in here, and I like to keep the bowl smooth on the outside. We're going to have that hole there, which is kind of cool looking. But these bug runs will end up being a cool contrasting color if they hold up. Oh man, that feather is beautiful though. That's worth saving right there. What do you think? Did I got enough on there? Did I get it? Did I get it? Let's see if these are gonna. I'm running out of accelerator. I'm gonna have to open up another bottle. Alrighty, let's take one more pass here. Gentle pass. Gonna have to let it dry a minute. Just let it spin up. Real gentle, coming in from that bottom, and we don't want to lose our bevel this time. trying to use all hips, so I have to keep replacing my feet here. Just blend this little line in here. Ooh, look at those fluffy little shavings. Those are pretty. Okay, those turned out nice and hard. It's going to look nice contrasting colors in there. And we're filled up there. Got a little bit of roughness here. Did it pop out? Let me see if I can. No, that's nice and smooth. That's smooth, that's smooth. Little open crack there I don't like. So, a little more trial and error. I'll get back in there and fill that. I think this one's smooth up to here. Looks pretty good. So I'll keep working around the edges on that, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to really get to it on the other ends here. Keep filling these bug holes. So I do like that little contrasting color you get from those. I think it looks kind of cool. And it just started raining. I've only been back to Washington here for about 24 hours. My son just graduated Bible college. So we were in California doing the graduation ceremonies and all that exciting stuff, and seen him get kind of his commission to go off into the world and do what he's been raised to do. And so away from the shop for almost 10 days, which is the longest I've been away from my lathe in a long, long time. Started to get a little antsy, to be honest. I'm like, hey man, I gotta get back to my lathe. And I needed to sit back and remind myself to enjoy these big pivotal moments here. You know, when your kids are graduating, when they're moving on to the next thing in life, you know, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I still miss my lathe though. Even though I had that big deal going down, I'm like, man, I just want to be back in the shop. Back in the shop. My lathe misses me. I know it does. Okay. I think, yeah, we'll give that about 4 or 5 minutes to really set up well, so I'm not splashing myself with CA, and then we'll come back and get the last of the spins on there. I really feel like we can get a nice, clean cut like that. And there you go. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and tighten up that tenon before we get to sanding. I'm going to put a nice little dovetail on that with the Mr. Pointy Gouge. If it'll handle this heavy duty. There we go. Nice easy cut. Stuart was not lying when he said this will dull your tools. Whew. That was the quickest I've had a cut to the other side here. Just want a nice flat bottom in here. There we go. That should be a perfect tenon for this. Nice dovetail. Good pull around. The cracks are full and flat and flush and pretty. All of our bug trails have been filled in and they're now smooth as the rest of the bowl. I think we can hit that with some, start out at 180 and we'll work ourselves up probably to 400. I want to see how this polishes up. I want to make sure we can get rid of the staining from the CA around there. But I think that is going to be really quite nice. So let me set up for sanding, get the dust collector set up and everything, and I'll be back around. Okay, so from here now you can see that beautiful feather, how that turned out in the wood. Again, this is just polished. I haven't put any wax on or anything yet. It's just the grit. And you can see how our fillings turned in. So that's the glitter and the cracks with the CA. And that's filled up real nicely. Catches the light nice, and at least when you run your hand over it, it's nice and smooth, which is what we were shooting for. So I think that one is ready to be turned over, and go ahead and pull the do the inside. See how the inside turns out. So this is pretty typical here for how I do stuff. Go ahead and remove the tailstock. Take our bowl off. You can see the inside here still has quite a ways to go. We haven't, get it in the light here. We haven't touched the inside yet. Still covered in glue. Pretty thick, so we have plenty of meat to work with here to thin that out. But the outside is nice and pretty and ready to move to the next step. So for the next step, all we have to do is take our, since we sized our tenon, and I'll show you that here in a second, but we sized our tenon up for the smallest opening here. Let me go ahead and show you that real quick. So we have the tenon here and the little tenon jig that I dropped it. That's just like me, dropping stuff left and right, cutting my fingers on things. So I made these little tenon jigs, 3D printed them, just to match my tenon. So you see, we just match up our space so we know we're going to get a nice tight fit, won't leave any marks or anything. In this case, I'm going to be pulling the tenon off, so that's not really critical. It doesn't leave a mark. But if you're trying to do a foot in advance, maybe beaded foot or something with a little detail to hold this, this is the way to go. So we have a nice flat bottom. We should be able to almost close our jaws all the way up. And should be ready to do the inside. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move the tailstock all the way out of the way. We don't need that in our way anymore. But it's also going to mean I got to move you for a second. Hold on a minute. So I should move you over here so I can slide a tailstock away. You didn't know you had your own spot in the shop, did you? Now you do. You have your very own spot. Got it set up for you right over there. So most of the time when I have students in or people who want to come and learn a certain thing or they're interested in turning, I have a couple little spots set up like for the people who've never done it. So it's like, hey, you can watch, we'll do a nice slow thing. And then a spot for folks to actually come over and grab a tool and actually get on the lathe. And that is so much fun. Probably the coolest thing about our hobby or our craft, depending on where you're at, or if you're a pro, like some of the guys we watch and talk to, is actually getting the opportunity to pass it on to the next generation. That is a hoot for me. Absolutely love it. Okay, I got a nice clear pass here. We'll see what we're dealing with when we get to the inside. I'm not seeing any of those cracks popping all the way through. I do have the bug hole here that goes all the way through. I'll try to bring this down to about 1/4 inch. I don't think we need to go much thinner than that, although I'll take your advice if you think it needs to be thinner. I mean, I'm all ears here. But I'm going to go in to start with the smaller 1/2 inch crown. And I think I can get over where the camera's at, still make a good pass here. So let's get you in a good spot so you can see what's going on. I think that'll do. This thing here is my dust collector. I really can't take it on and off. I wonder if there's a better spot for the inside. Well, let's see how it just goes. We'll just see how it goes. Mask and face shield on. Let's do it. Dusty. I'll go ahead and turn her down now. Now I'm cutting offhand. I'm way over here. Don't have my hips in it. We haven't quite cleared the low spot on the rim. But you can see how nice that's turning. Shouldn't have any issues getting in there with a good angle, swooping down to the bottom, and kind of following the shape Stuart already started for us. So I'm going to bring this a teeny bit thinner. Like I said, I would like to get it to about 1/4 inch. But let's get past the low spot here on the rim first. Let's see if we've, feels like we're still out of round, and now our cracks are coming through here. So we got through to that thickness, and one of our cracks is here already, and our bug tracks. So I'll go ahead and clear that bottom out, and then we'll have to do some filling, but it'll be a pretty piece when it's done. That's going to be the final rim thickness there. And we still have a little moss and bits from Mother Nature there. So I'm going to swap out my rest here for a round one, so I can really get in there. This is a very inexpensive, nothing fancy here, just something off of Amazon that allows me to make sure I'm not going to clip anything. And the last thing I want at this stage. And I can just get in there a little closer, get a lot more tool support as I pull down to the bottom. We'll probably end up having to use a scraper on the very bottom. Although I did get a brand new Glenn Lucas bottom feeder. Yeah, I was chatting with Kerry Corney, everyone knows Kerry. He's an amazing turner, super just generous human being with his time. And he was showing in one of his videos the Glenn Lucas bottom feeder. I have not used it yet. I just got it in the mail. So I need to probably learn how to do it before I try to put it on a video. But I just got to get in there and clean that up on the edge. We're already getting a nice follow line down here. We'll leave it a little heavier on the bottom because of these cracks. I don't want it flying apart. I mean, I can feel it vibrating around a bit. But let's just go ahead and clean up that one line. I don't want to do it with a scraper. I want to get it with a bowl gouge. Okay, we got most of our line gone. We still have a little line here. Come in there with a little side scraper maybe. I don't want to risk it catching that, and I still have to fill the cracks. So we'll fill the cracks first. You can see here. I think you can see from there. See, we have our crack right here. Bug tracks all the way along here that need to be filled. That's the main thing though, these two cracks. So we'll go ahead and take care of those real quick, and then we'll get to doing the bottom. Like I said, I think I'll get out that Glenn Lucas and see if I can master it here on the fly, or at least get it to where I can. Yeah, the wall thickness is nice and uniform, but we do have a lot of bug tracks and stuff to take care of. So I'm going to get to that, and I'll be right back. Guess no better time than now for the first pass with the Glenn Lucas GL6 bottom feeder. You can see it's got that little 60-degree bevel in there, and that's what we're supposed to ride. It looks like you ride it almost up, and we'll just take some light passes and see what it does. It's definitely something new. So wow, that feels really good. And look at that cut it makes. That's pretty nice. Still want to come in with my regular gouge to get to the bottom, but just wanted to feel how it cuts. And you can feel that just really nice cut in there, even across this heavy figured grain on the bottom. Now, one of the things I am curious about is, will it scrape? So I'm going to get out big scraper here. We'll get out the Hurricane. It's a 2-inch. Make sure we got a good edge on there. Did use it before. Yeah, it's got a nice edge. So I just want to see if we're going to get a decent scrape right on the center. We'll slightly elevate the hand and just pull it around a bit just to see if it's going to. So I'm generally fairly reluctant to use a scraper on super hard wood, especially figured wood, but that did a nice job of cleaning that up. And now all I have to do is blend a few things together and clean up these sides. And that's going to be very pretty. I think I want to take a little more depth though out of the bottom of that bowl, and we'll see if the Glenn Lucas here is equipped for that. And I have to come in from over here, that 3/4 area, and bring it down and in. I'm curious if it works the other direction as well. I actually like it both directions. And look at these little curly shavings you get. And that's a smooth, beautiful finish. Yeah, I can highly recommend that after just one use with it. That's a very impressive piece of kit right there. I'm surprised. Everything Kerry was recommended has ended up being a winner. The only thing that had a steeper learning curve than I appreciated was that Bowl Saver Max 4. Man, that took a while to get used to and figure out. Looks so simple, but if you don't get the setup exactly right, man, it's a bummer. All right, thickness feels good. A couple little bumps down here I'll work out with the gouge after I finish getting our filled sections done here. I'm going to get out of the round again and go back to a cast iron, and so we can really get in tight and I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. I might even turn this one in reverse. Go in this direction. I should be able to come in. Just nice, easy passes down right there. So put her in reverse. No, can't quite round the corner that way. Getting it flat up here, nice, but the minute I come down a little beyond that, oh yeah, that's really nice right there. Okay, now that I'm past that portion, I could probably get it over here now, a little easier. See if that smoothed off all of our fills here. Oh, we got a little branch coming up there. That's kind of pretty. And that's flat and pretty and smooth. Took a little bit. We need a little bit more glitter down there as we rounded that corner. More of the crack opened up. So let's tap a little of the black magic in there. And we'll rub it into that crack really good. Get over here a bit. Keep around the edge. Let's see how we are looking here towards center. Yep, about the right height there. We'll take some very, very delicate passes. And again, with the mask on all the way here. We're getting down to the nitty gritties here now. Some gentle touching here first. Yeah, it wants to catch. We want to keep the handle up so we don't get a catch. Now listen to the wood, guys. When you're doing that, you can hear when those tones are changing. Okay, they were nice and smooth there. Now we just got to get to the top. That one filled real nice. When you hear those tones changing, is as I was coming around this corner, it's still got a little bump right here, and we start hitting this beautiful figured wood. It cuts completely different. It is not the same beast. So we'll go ahead and grab the Glen Lucas again. And we're going to come in right on this edge just to clean this off right in here. And we want to be cutting delicate little ribbons, not trying to scrape anything off that. As that grain changes, it's a completely different animal. I don't think I could have asked for a better cut. That was a perfect pass. That beautiful fluffy goo you get out of there. Oh yeah, a couple tool lines right up in here. That's surprising because I don't have them here. So we are getting a little, yeah, this is a different density than there. All right, well we can clean that up pretty easily, but I'm gonna put some fresh edges on a few things and we'll be right back. Okay, we've spent a little time sanding and it's time for a fully sanded at 320. It seemed like the more I sanded, the less attractive it got. I don't know what was going on, but that feather started popping right about 220. But it was a very difficult sand, to be honest. It's tough wood, and there's a lot of grain and figure in there. And sometimes you're sanding away, going, "Oh my God, I can't figure out what that tool line's from." You get close, and you're like, "Oh, it's not tool line. It's some weird little grain pattern or something like that." So I had a bit of that where I'm like rubbing away, sanding something, figuring out, oh, it's actually I'm sanding the wood away, not a tool mark or something. Like this line in here that I really was bothering me is actually a grain line, part of one of the tree ring lines. And I probably spent 15 minutes trying to get rid of something that was in the wood because I just didn't catch it at the right angle to understand what I was looking at. What I'm putting on here is my grit, and I'm going to let this get in there because of the live edge up here. I hate putting my fingers in there while it's spinning, so I'll put it on this way, and then we'll buff it off. We'll do that bottom when it's spinning. We'll buff it off with the linen wheel later up here. But for now, let's just get a little coat in there so we can see what all that work was for. And I'm going to go ahead and put some pressure in there. A little bit of speed. And I'll get a nice clean towel here for that. And that will be how we look at that feather, how that feather pops out in the middle there. So let's go ahead and grind that up. Got it up to around, what are we at here? What, 1,000 RPM? Get a little bit higher. And again, I'm holding my hand back away from these edges. You can see we pick up a lot of goo. Remember never to wrap your hand in the actual towel itself, just holding it. So you do not want to lose a finger. Oh, okay, I can't speak for you. I don't want to lose a finger, so I'm assuming you either also don't. So if you have it wrapped up in your hand all tight like that and it catches something, it could pull your finger right off, or at least damage it pretty good, give you a nice dislocation. When you have just holding it in your hand, if it catches, it'll just pull it out of your hand, which is our goal here. Okay, again, this is just our grit, our shop shine, and look at that feather. That looks pretty good. Hopefully that's picked up in the camera nice, but that's a pretty piece of grain work there. So now we'll go ahead and we'll get some regular shop shine on there. Beeswax, mineral oil, little carnubas in that blend there. And we'll rub that in by hand first, and then after it sets up, we will buff it off at high speed on the lathe. The outside, I'm going to actually take over to the Beal system, and I'm going to buff out the outside with a white diamond and then a carnuba. I think that will be the prettiest shine for what we have here without having to put any kind of other finish on. I think this wood would probably be beautiful with some shellac too, but I really want it to just be a super easy to maintain. You know, it's kind of big for a nut bowl, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe put a bunch of nuts in there for a party or something. And the secret surprise would be at the bottom. When you get down there, you see that big feather. Beautiful crotch section. I was very generous of Stuart over at STM Woodworking. I'll put a link to his channel down there. He's a buddy of mine from one of the international, well, yeah, it's an international wood turning club. It's called the Royal Order of Woodturners. And we actually have membership openings. It's not as highfalutin as it sounds. Most of us are hobby turners and also run a little side business. A lot of makers in the group. Some people you probably already are following. Shirts Creatives in there, 2511 Wood Turning, Designs by Red Raven, We Wood Shop, Woodworking Jarl over in Holland. So we got a pretty good team. Naughty Pleasures is in the group. Quite a few guys that you probably see their post if you're an Instagrammer, and you'd see them on Facebook here and also on YouTube. They all have little different projects going. But it's a fun group to be in. We support each other. We trade projects in wood. We give advice. And basically, we just joke around a lot and enjoy each other's company, which is fun. Have a little affinity group. Most of us also belong to our local chapter of the AAW. Where I live, that's the Inland West Woodturners. But if you're interested in getting into a cool little wood-turning group with a lot of fun guys, we'll give you lots of support, good advice. We laugh with each other when there's something to laugh about, and we cry with each other when there's something to cry about. But most of the time, it's just tools, advice, tips, sharing project ideas with each other, and reaching out to somebody who's another maker who might have a skill set you just don't have. As an instance, I do 3D design and 3D printing. I came out of the engineering world, and that's what I did. And some of the guys have a need for little 3D printed widgets and stuff. So I do that for them, and they trade me for blanks. And this lovely piece of wood came from Stuart, a buddy of mine, now who lives in Georgia. I'm all the way from Washington. He sends me a box of wood. I sent him a couple of gouges that I wasn't using anymore. And, it's kind of a cool trade. It works out. It's always nice to have buddies. So there it is. I'll take that over to the Beal system now. Polish up the outside. Our little fill with the glitter turned out cool. Obviously, this isn't a gallery piece, but definitely something that would sell if I put that out of my trade show booth. No problem at all. Yeah, that's pretty, huh? That's just pretty. So, put that out at the booth at the next craft fair. It'll be gone in a couple minutes. Or I'll stick it on my own cabinet and fill it like cashews. I do love cashews, although since it's made out of pecan, I should probably put pecan/pecan/ whatever else you call it from wherever you're from in there. And there it is. So I'll bring it back for a final spin, and we'll take the foot off. I'm not going to show that. You guys have seen it a million times. I'm just going to roll it off flat on this one, sand it up nice after we buff it, and we'll be good to go. Bring it back for a final spin and some last thoughts. Well, there she is all finished up. What we have here is a twice-turned pecan ball with some CA and glitter embellishments, aka repairs. Beautiful crotch figure in the middle. Just a little gorgeous feather there. Not the tightest, best turn I've ever done, but it's definitely a pretty bowl. It'll put some nuts in it or sit it on a counter or something. It should be awful well appreciated. Special thanks again goes out to Stuart at STM Woodturner for sending me along this lovely blank to work with. A lot of fun, and really pleased with the wood. First time turn a pecan. Can't wait to hit the next blank and see if I can improve. Hope you had a great time, guys. If you did, sure appreciate a like or a subscribe. Really helps me out, and I do appreciate knowing that people are watching and enjoying the content. And in the meantime, you know what they say. Get out there and turn something.